Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight with us and for viewing this inspiring documentary. I think, like Mayor Baraka said, it largely speaks for itself. But I am joined by some amazing panelists, and we also wanted to make sure that some of our participants were able to tell their stories. I also want to thank our council members who were here, Councilwoman McIver, Councilwoman Roundtree, Councilman Crump for being here. Our business administrator, Eric Pennington, our chief of staff was here, and Mary Baraka, and Mayor Shaw, I believe, from Roselle was here. So we really appreciate all the elected officials for coming out. So Mark, we'll just kick off with you with a question. What brought you to the idea of basic income? Why did you decide to make a documentary on it? And what do you think now after the whole process of making this great documentary?
Well, I think it's now more than ever. I mean, given where we're at, I came to it. I mean, really started with Brick City. Working on a local level, believing that given the dysfunction we see in Washington, that it's on the local level that real change is happening. And that's where I met the mayor a number of years ago. And it brought me to another city, Stockton, California, where Michael Tubbs was experimenting with the first municipally backed guaranteed income program. And I did a film for HBO called Stockton on My Mind, and it introduced me to this whole concept. And then Michael went on to put together this coalition, this network, and we teamed up. So that's kind of how it happened. But I do believe that we can get so depressed looking at what's happening in Washington. I mean, today, another classic example. And yet we ignore or don't see in the news the stories on the local level of people who are really making a difference and trying innovative, progressive ideas. And this city is certainly one of them. So I've kind of, over the last decade or so, tried to focus my filmmaking on telling those stories.
And Mayor, we heard you talk about Mayor Tubbs and how you met Mayor Tubbs and how that was a driving force behind getting involved with this effort. But maybe you can talk more broadly about some of the work you've done here in Newark over the past 9 years, so almost 10 years, to build a more equitable city and how you view this fitting with the other policies that you have in place.
Well, I just want to first agree partly with the fact that, a lot of things that should be happening federally are not. There's levels of dysfunction on municipal levels around the country. People are being as creative as we can imagine. We have City Lab and innovation happening all over the country because necessity is the mother of invention. But I do want to say that none of this stuff can be scaled, can be done in a way that it should be done without the federal government, without the federal government's involvement, without state government involvement. So on the one hand that we like to uplift ourselves and say we're doing great work, and we are, but ultimately that work is not enough. And it'll never be enough because of the rate of the problem and the speed of it is moving faster than the resources that we have to address them is moving. So you need to be able, that's one of the reasons why we became a part of the Mayors for Guaranteed Income, to create this kind of groundswell to push the federal government to do something specific, even if it's expanding child tax credits, if it's continuing stimulus checks, whatever it is, that we should do that. I mean, we are trying to do what we can around affordable housing, and trying to be being creative about taking people's Section 8 vouchers, making them homeowners. We're doing as much as we possibly could imagine and think of to push back against a wave of things that are happening in this country that we are not exempt from. Right, so that means there's a lot of work and a lot of creativity that needs to take place, trying to make sure that everybody has access to broadband at a cheap a price, especially when working from home is going to be, unfortunately, the new thing. The BA is going to be working from home is going to be a new thing. So, I mean, making sure that everybody has access to broadband and that we create opportunities for folks to get employment, right? And that we're putting people in college who never went to college before, who have 1.8, 1.9, 2.0 GPAs and paying for it so they can go to college for free. These are things that we're doing. They're great. You know, I love it, but ultimately the city can't sustain it on its own. And I just think that needs to be said because that's the truth.
Thank you. And I do want to say, none of this would have been possible without our amazing partners, and a lot of them are up on the screen behind me, both funding partners for really taking a risk on this, like the mayor said, stepping in where the federal government is not, and also our nonprofit partners and our task force who really helped to make this possible. And so we're excited that you all have a policy report in front of you. We're really going to be pushing for some of these policies. We also hope you'll scan the QR code. We have a petition that we hope you'll take a few moments to sign while you're here to call for policies like this nationally. And with that, I do want to move to our stars, who are our participants. We really wanted to have the opportunity to share the stories of two of our participants with you tonight. So I'm joined by Jenny Marie Adrobo and Anwanyu Carter. And I think it's really brave that they've made themselves available to us, that they're on a stage speaking to us. I think it shows how much they care, not just about themselves, but about everybody in this pilot, about the people in the city. So I just really want to thank them for always being there to answer the phone when we called on them. Because we need to tell the story through people, because that's how the message is really getting across. So Jenny Marie, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about you, what you're doing in your life, what the money meant for you, your family. Just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, I don't think we have time to really tell what that meant for me, but let me try to put it in a small scale.
Right. We have.
Again, my name is Jenny Marie Adrobo. Also, thank everyone for coming. Hello. So I'm currently a tutor. I just switched over my jobs. I was assistant teacher at a Montclair private school, and now I'm tutoring in Passaic. And hopefully, in a couple months, I'll be a site coordinator in the school Brick in Newark, New Jersey. Right, so let me jump forward to how this helped me, right? So I have a ton of bills. Student loans, number one, is the number one. Student loans, with that money, most of my money was going to those student loans, right? At a young age, when you're in high school, some of the high schools are not perfect, right? And so when it comes to educating you on your readiness in college, you may not talk too much about those interest rates and what's the difference between an A and a 3 and how that may affect you. So I got a loan. If you know about Sallie Mae, please don't get a loan from them. So I got a loan through them, and the interest rate was incredibly high. And so most of my money was going to my student loans and where I can at home, and giving my mom for the water bill, mortgage, and stuff like that when I can. So a lot of my money was going straight to bills versus everything else that I have in my life. But we also have to remember that, yes, people have bills to pay, but we should also be okay with people using that money for self-care. I want to be able to use that money to take my parents out on a nice dinner. Right. It shouldn't be, just pay your bills, because we need self-care too. We want to feel good, and I also want people to understand that too. It's not just about, if we give you money, pay your bills, right?
Thank you. Mr. Carter, you've been one of our steadfast supporters since early on. You were featured in the documentary, so maybe you could just say a few words about what this has all really meant for you.
First of all, Anwanyu Carter, child of Newark, proud to be here, always going to be here for Newark. I love this city. I love all of y'all. Give our mayor a round of applause because when he became mayor, he said we all became mayor. And so his courage is an inspiration. And every city doesn't have a Ras Baraka, okay? Every city doesn't have a Ras Baraka. So while we can galvanize now as a community, as a village, let's do it now while we have the resources to do it and kick down some more doors. Ho. Listen, there's a whole lot more people in here than the claps that I'm hearing. I thought we were here to change things, to celebrate change. Because the reality of it is this. Like the mayor said, the federal government has no choice but to get involved. Once again, I'm a child of Newark. And one of the many things that is a blessing and a homecoming for me for this program is, once again, people like our parents talked about this program. I was telling my daughter when Dr. King came to Newark, a lot of places in Newark shamefully didn't want to open their doors to Dr. King because he had just announced the Vietnam War. Know your history so we don't repeat it. Her grandmother, my mother, who was a trailblazer in Newark, who ran a nonprofit for 40 years, that's all she did was push for guaranteed income, guaranteed anything for poor people regardless of race, color, creed, or religion. That's how I grew up. So for me to be sitting on this stage and I needed guaranteed income and I went to college, there's a lot of work to be done. And it's also saying that the federal government is saying, nah, we still not ready to help y'all. But I'm gonna tell you something, guaranteed income, y'all owe us way more than that. Because my ancestors, your ancestors gave them 400, 500 years of guaranteed free labor with no income. So that's why I'm up here. Are we all in agreement with that? Now, when it comes to the $500 a month, what I was able to do is let one of those jobs go. Now, I'm back 7 days a week. I have no problem with that. My ancestors labored, I labored, and I'm a firm believer that we all have assignments. We all have assignments. So where I'm at, I've always been able to organize and galvanize. It doesn't matter. But I'm at the Northern Region Medical Examiner's office right here in Newark on the corner of Norfolk and South Orange Avenue. I've been there for 10 years. I'm proud of that. A lot of people don't know that us being a regional office here in Newark, we just don't take care of Essex County residents. We take care of Passaic County residents, all of them. We take care of Somerset County residents, all of them. That's an hour away outside of Newark. We also take care of all of Hudson County residents. Wrap your mind around how big these counties are. And all those deaths come to Newark. When COVID hit, all those deaths came to Newark. Okay? It's amazing what we do right here in this city that nobody speaks about. What that guaranteed income did was it offset the funds that we're not getting at the Northern Region Medical Examiner's office. That's what it did. It offset what Governor Christie did when he froze raises on that level. See, we community, so we can't hide things. I don't think you should be older than how much you make. I'm 49 years old, I'll be 50. I make $43,000 a year and deal with death 5 days out the week. And to take care of that little one, and my just graduated from Arts High School, designer drawer over there somewhere, and Yan Wu Jr., that 500 got his art supplies. That 500 made my daughter able to come to her father and say, Dad, I want to go to the store, and not have to be bamboozled by somebody on that corner offering her money for something she wanted. Your guaranteed income's addressing a whole lot. And it's helping fathers like myself and all fathers, regardless of color, walk through that door with more hope and faith that this family is going to make it. Because I don't want to survive. Our ancestors survived. I want to thrive. I'm tired of that word surviving. A homeless person who finds a dumpster outside to shield them from the wind, they surviving. I don't want nobody living like that no more. America should be ashamed of itself. So once again, thank you for all those who made this program possible. I thank the creator for choosing me, because there's a whole lot more families in Newark who are doing worse than me and worse than that sister right there. And they're surviving. So guaranteed income should be across the board. And shame on those who ask us, well, why are you giving them guaranteed income money? Why the hell are we giving banks bailout money and y'all still got millions in your savings account and we have nothing?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't want to hog it up, there you go, but that's why I'm
we
here.
finished now.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. We said we needed storytellers, and then we met Mr. Carter, and we said, well, he's going to be our storyteller, and we don't need any others.
I go eat early now.
So Mayor, having heard that, obviously there's work to do on the state level, on the federal level. Can you say anything about our next steps and what we hope to do in New Jersey? After that?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Carter can come to Trenton with us, but maybe just talk a little bit about
I'm down.
where you see this work going in terms of economic equity and what some of your hopes are for the city over the next several years.
Yeah, I think ultimately, just mayors galvanizing is the first step around the country to you kind of push this. And I think it's important to see it happen, because it's one thing to talk about things theoretically, and we used to having these kind of academic, high-minded debates with one another around the country. To actually put something in place and see the results of it takes it to another level, right? So people can't deny what just happened and what they've just seen around the country. So how to expand that and grow that. And before this, and they mentioned it in the film, that people are always asking where we're going to get the money from. And obviously, when COVID happened, they just started printing money in the back room. They found money for everything. So it's important that this continues. And I think that there's some specific things that we can fight for locally if we're not going to exactly get guaranteed income for folks, expanded child tax credits. When the federal government did the child tax credits, it actually reduced child poverty. But they couldn't get the votes. I think they were short maybe 2 votes to expand the program, even when they know data said that it, reduced child poverty in the United States. So there's a lot more work to be done. But I guess the encouraging part of that, it was only 2, right? So that means that we're close, and we just need to keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. Those things should be pushed. Earned income tax credits, right? We have these things in New Jersey too, by the way, that we can push for, and all of these other programs that exist to try to take all of the restrictions and guardrails away from them, because those things are basically racist and classist, to think that if we give people money, we have to tell them what they need to spend their money on when they don't know already what they need to spend their money on, right? People know exactly what they need to spend their money on. Like we always say, people need financial literacy. I don't know if Rockefeller ever had financial literacy. And I don't know why we're giving financial literacy to people to have no finances. But at the end of the day, I think financial literacy begins with putting money in people's pockets. And we should be talking about how to do that. And New Jersey talks a lot about keeping rich folks in New Jersey. So we'll do a lot of tax credit to keep rich seniors, rich families, millionaires in New Jersey, but very little talk about struggling working class people who we need to put money in their pockets so they can grow New Jersey, right? Who don't have any choice but to choose New Jersey, right? So that's something that we can fight for here in the state, and hopefully in the federal government, it kind of multiplies itself.
Mark, I wonder what reaction you're seeing as you've traveled to some of these cities, and what do you feel like the movement is, what is happening with the movement now?
Well, I think what Mayor Baraka said is true. When people see, it's one thing to read data, and there is data to support everything about this program in terms of the difference it makes. But the popular misconception that you heard in the Fox News montage is still very much out there. Oh, we're giving free money to people who are going to waste it on this and that. And when they come, the most moving thing is people who've seen this film and say, I walked in basically believing the Fox News line. And my eyes have been open. I'm open now to kind of discussing this and thinking about this in a totally different way than I ever thought about it before. And the final thing is, I think the statement that one of the women says, poverty, and Dr. King said it, poverty is a choice that we as a society have made. It's a policy choice. We do have the resources to get rid of poverty, to provide, the basic necessities for everybody in this country. But we've decided as a culture and as a society that we're comfortable with haves and have-nots. That we don't want to shake that up. And that is a disturbing truth. I mean, the mayor just mentioned the child tax credit. We're the only industrial country in the world that doesn't support families with young children. I mean, it's unbelievable that Sinema and Manchin killed the child tax credit, the idea of extending it. And now we have seen in the last year child poverty increase 100% because they cut that. So there is a lot to do. This is a small part of it, but it's encouraging to see that some people are open to changing their mind and opening themselves up to new ways of thinking.
And Joe Manchin said people stop working. So that's why this message is so important, and that's why we have to continue to share this message and show this documentary and really hear from these participants, because they're still saying that people are going to stop working. They just
You
don't.
can stop working for $600 a month, then you don't need a guarantee.
Explain to me how you're doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
Where do you live at?
Right.
I want to pay rent there.
Right. So we're going to close out in a minute, but Jenny Marie, I just would like to hear from you. You got these funds at a critical time in your life. You were becoming a college student. So what impact do you think that had on you and your family? What do you think would be different today if you didn't have access to this program? And not even just the money, but also just any other experiences that you were able to receive through having something like this.
So I would like to say, let's say if I didn't have this money, where I would be. Less motivated, I guess. So when you get income without restrictions, without someone calling you on the phone like, hey, how much did you spend on, like, with no restrictions, we know what we have to pay, right? I know what bills I have to pay. I don't need someone calling me and asking me, are you doing well with the money? Are you using it for the good things? Because yes, I will be. I need to pay my bills, right? And so it motivated me that the city is doing this for us and that I can create and be that storyteller and come up here and boast about how good this program is and tell those people that ask me, why do you think you deserve this? Why should we give you money, right? And so what I say is look at the data. Look at there's so much data on some of these programs that happen in Connecticut, that happen in New York, and they always skip over all that data. There's quantitative data. There's interviews with a lot of people just like me asking these same questions, and they'll still ask you, why do you think you deserve this? It's in the numbers. Why is there any need to discuss, right? And so with the money, it creates a balance of emotional intelligence, right? So I'm not worried about my bills no more. I can focus on my mental health. I can focus on the good things in my life, right? And that's something often we don't think as much, right? We're thinking so much about, I gotta give my kids food today, not tomorrow, so I'm not gonna go to the doctors because I don't have money to get myself checked. And so we don't have enough self-care because we're worried about our bills so much. And so when this came and I got money, I was able to throw money to things like, sometimes I wanna get my nails done, right? Sometimes I wanna feel cute. Like, you feel better about yourself because you're less worried about paying these bills that you have. And also, apart from myself, I live with my mom at home, right? And she just retired. My father passed away before COVID, and he was the main breadwinner of the household. So after that, it was just me, my mom, and my brother. I was unemployed, had got COVID, and the job that I was working for said that they don't pay for COVID, and so I got fired. Then I had to apply for unemployment. Everybody in Newark was applying for unemployment, right? So there was no one picking up those phones. If you made a mistake on that question, you were not getting paid next week. And there was nobody to communicate with because everyone's busy answering phones. You will have to call back every day from 8 a.m. to they close. And you probably still won't get the phone answered, right? So that money was my unemployment money. And people say, how am I gonna survive with $500? I'm not gonna stop working. I can't pay my rent or my mortgage or give my mom money with $500, right? That's not sustainable. So when people ask, like, why do you deserve? Again, why don't I deserve? What makes me not deserve? So that's my story.
Thank you. A little room to breathe. So with that, I just want to thank our panelists. I want to thank Mark Levin, who made this amazing film. I want to thank Jenny Marie Bedrogo, Mayor Baraka, the reason we're here, and Mr. Carter for your inspiring words to all of us. We hope that you will all take action tonight by signing this petition, by looking at this report, by reaching out to your legislators, and the Newark Movement for Economic Equity will become the New Jersey Movement for Economic Equity so that we can push some of this legislation that we're talking about in the report with New Jersey policy perspective on a statewide level. And we thank you for coming. And with that, we're going to say goodnight to all of you. Thank you so much.